The midnight silence at New Earth Medical Center shattered like crystal wind chimes in a storm. Dr. Sarah Chen jolted awake at her desk, research papers scattered across its surface as emergency lights bathed her office in pulsing blue. Through the reinforced windows, she watched a crystalline ship, all sharp angles and translucent surfaces, drift down from the stars like a wounded snowflake before crash landing in the medical center's rooftop garden. Sarah grabbed her medical kit and rushed to the emergency stairwell, her heart pounding against her ribs. The garden, typically a peaceful sanctuary for recovering patients, had transformed into something out of a fairy tale. Steam rose from the crashed ship, its crystal-like surface refracting the emergency lights into 1,000 rainbow patterns across the carefully tended herbs and flowers. As she approached, a section of the ship's hull melted away like ice in spring. Sarah's breath caught in her throat as the Starweaver emerged, its iridescent scales shifting colors with each movement. 8 feet tall at minimum, with a serpentine grace that defied its size, the alien's crystalline armor plates clinked softly as it moved. But what struck Sarah wasn't its impressive size or otherworldly beauty. It was the tiny bundle cradled in its 4 primary arms. "Please," the Starweaver's translation crystal hummed, its voice carrying notes of music within the words. "My little one fades." Sarah's medical training kicked in, overriding her awe. The infant Starweaver, no larger than a human child, had lost the brilliant shine characteristic of its species. Its scales, which should have sparkled with internal light, had dulled to an alarming gray. More worrying still were the erratic pulses of bioluminescence beneath its translucent outer layers, a clear sign of severe distress. "I'm Dr. Sarah Chen," she said clearly, knowing the translation crystal would convert her words. "I'm a xenopediatric specialist. May I examine your child?" The adult Starweaver's scales rippled with colors that Sarah's xenobiology training identified as fear, hope, and desperate worry. Every medical student learned about the Starweaver's legendary protective instincts. They were known to travel thousands of light years to avoid letting other species near their young. Some xenobiologists had theorized that their species' elaborate crystalline ships were developed primarily to avoid the need for outside help during their long journeys between stars. Yet here one stood, on Earth, about to do the unthinkable. With infinite gentleness, the Starweaver extended its arms, offering the precious bundle to Sarah. The moment hung between them like a soap bubble, fragile and iridescent with possibility. Sarah stepped forward and carefully accepted the infant, supporting its head just as she would a human child's. The baby Starweaver let out a soft chime, a sound that needed no translation, the universal voice of an unwell child seeking comfort. Without thinking, Sarah began to hum her grandmother's lullaby, an old Chinese melody that had soothed generations of her family. To her amazement, both parent and child visibly relaxed. The adult's color ripples steadied, while the infant's erratic bioluminescence began to pulse in a more regular rhythm. "Your song," the Starweaver's crystal translated, wonder evident in its musical tones. "It matches the stellar cradle harmonies. How was this possible?" Sarah had no answer, but she knew she had to act fast. The infant's condition, while temporarily stabilized by whatever strange effect her humming had produced, was still critical. "Let's get your little one to our pediatric unit," she said, already walking toward the door. "We have equipment there that can help us understand what's wrong." As they hurried through the medical center's halls, Sarah's mind raced with questions. Why had the Starweaver chosen this particular hospital? How did a simple Earth lullaby affect these starborn beings? And most importantly, could she live up to the tremendous trust this powerful being had placed in her? She didn't have the answers yet, but she knew one thing for certain. This night would change everything. The pediatric unit's specialized scanning equipment hummed to life as Sarah placed the infant Starweaver on the examination bed. The little one's scales flickered weakly, casting soft prismatic patterns across the medical equipment. Dr. Marcus Wong, the night shift supervisor, stood in the doorway with an expression that mixed wonder and professional concern. "I've never seen readings like these," Marcus whispered, studying the holographic display. The infant's biometric patterns pulsed across the screen in waves of light, beautiful but troubling. Their energy signature is destabilizing, almost light. "Like a star going nova," Sarah finished, her voice equally soft. She continued humming her grandmother's lullaby, noticing how the erratic patterns on the screen steadied slightly with each verse. The parent Starweaver watched intently, its own scales resonating with similar frequencies. Sarah's mind raced back to her xenobiology courses. Starweavers were born in the coronas of dying stars, their crystalline bodies designed to absorb and process stellar energy. This infant's condition resembled severe malnutrition. But how could that happen in a species evolved to feed on starlight? The answer hit her like a bolt of lightning. Marcus, pull up the solar activity reports from the past month. His fingers danced across the holographic interface. There's been a significant decrease in solar flare activity. Some kind of unusual quiet period. Not just quiet, the parent Starweaver's crystal translated, musical tones tinged with worry. Wrong harmonies. The solar songs have changed. Sarah's continuing lullaby took on new significance. Each note seemed to strengthen the infant's vital signs, if only slightly. She turned to Marcus. Get me everything we have on music therapy and stellar acoustics. And contact Dr. Yamamoto in astronomy. We need to understand what's happening with our son. The next few hours passed in a blur of research and careful monitoring. Dr. Yamamoto's data confirmed their suspicions. Earth's sun had entered an unprecedented quiet period, its natural frequency shifting outside the range that Starweaver infants could process for nourishment. But something else was happening, something extraordinary. Every time a human entered the room, nurses, technicians, other doctors, the infant's readings improved slightly. It wasn't just Sarah's lullaby. Something about human presence itself seemed to resonate with the child's needs. Look at this, Marcus said, pointing to a new set of scans. Human brainwave patterns during caregiving activities. They matched the frequency of healthy stellar nurseries almost perfectly. How did we never notice this before? Sarah watched as the parent Starweaver's scales shifted through patterns of deep blue, their expression of revelation. Your species, the translation crystal chimed. You carry the Psalms within you. Further scans revealed something astonishing. Human brain activity during nurturing behaviors produced energy patterns identical to the harmonics of stable star formation. Somehow, over millions of years of evolution, humans had internalized the very rhythms that spacefaring species relied upon to raise their young. We need to synthesize these frequencies, Sarah decided, her mind already racing ahead. Create an environment that replicates a healthy stellar nursery using human brainwave patterns as a template. The medical team worked through the night, converting a treatment room into a makeshift stellar nursery. They installed resonators tuned to match human caregiving brainwaves, creating an envelope of healing energy that mimicked the psalms of healthy stars. When they placed the infant Starweaver in the modified chamber, the change was immediate and beautiful. Its scales began to shine, first with a soft glow, then with increasing brilliance. The parent's colors shifted to bright gold, joy and relief made visible. As Sarah watched the infant's recovery, she realized they had stumbled upon something far bigger than a single medical case. Humanity had just discovered its hidden legacy, written in the language of starlight and lullabies. The parent Starweaver touched its translation crystal gently. Others must know of this gift you carry, it chimed. You are not just healers of bodies, but guardians of the stellar psalms themselves. Sarah nodded, knowing that this was only the beginning. Somewhere in human DNA lay the key to understanding their species' unique role in the galaxy. Not as conquerors or even explorers, but as keepers of an ancient harmony that transcended the boundaries between worlds. News travels faster than light when carried by quantum whispers, the preferred communication method of spacefaring species. Within days of the Starweaver infant's recovery, New Earth Medical Center's quiet corridors transformed into a bustling crossroads of the galaxy. Sarah stood at her office window, watching as ships of various designs and origins gracefully descended through the morning mist. The Luminath arrived first, their solar sail ships catching the sunrise like gossamer wings. Their young ones, barely visible to human eyes, flickered like heat mirages in their parents' protective fields. Next came the Star Dancers, their crystalline vessels moving in perfect orbital harmony, each ship part of an intricate stellar ballet that had been choreographed across light years. Dr. Chen, her assistant's voice came through the intercom, carrying a note of barely contained excitement. The deep space drifters have requested landing clearance. They haven't made planetfall anywhere in recorded history. Sarah took a deep breath, straightening her medical coat. The weight of responsibility settled on her shoulders like a familiar friend. The drifters were legendary among xenobiologists, a species that lived in the spaces between stars, so sensitive to planetary environments that they typically conducted all diplomatic relations from orbit. The drifter ship materialized rather than landed, its quantum structure shifting from possibility to reality in a cascade of silver light. From its depths emerged beings that seemed to be made of living darkness in distant starlight, carrying their offspring in fields of pure gravitational force. Your world's song, the drifter elder communicated directly into Sarah's mind, their thoughts carrying the chill of deep space and the warmth of parental concern. It calls to our little ones. How is this possible? Before Sarah could answer, a cry echoed through the medical center, not a sound of distress, but one of joy. In the newly established nursery ward, where the recovered Starweaver infant now resided, something remarkable was happening. The young ones from each visiting species had begun resonating with the human-generated stellar frequencies, creating a harmony that made the air itself shimmer with possibility. Dr. Marcus Wong rushed into Sarah's office, his tablet displaying a cascade of readings. The energy patterns are synchronizing, he reported, wonder clear in his voice. Each species young are contributing to the harmony, and it's perfecting itself. The human frequencies are acting like a conductor, bringing everything into balance. Sarah hurried to the nursery, followed by a procession of alien parents and medical observers. The scene inside took her breath away. Young ones from a dozen different species floated, crawled, or drifted in their specially designed environmental chambers, all arranged around the central human resonance generator. But the most remarkable sight was the human medical staff. Each doctor, nurse, and technician working in the nursery generated their own subtle harmony, their brain waves naturally adjusting to complement the needs of their charges. Children from species that had been historical enemies played together in the resonance field, their natural energies blending seamlessly under human supervision. We understand now, the Starweaver parent from that first night chimed, its scales shimmering with revelation. Humans are not just another spacefaring race. You are stellar resonance anchors, evolved to maintain the fundamental harmonies of life. A luminous elder floated forward, its light form pulsing with agreement. Our histories speak of the harmonious ones, an ancient race that could bridge the gaps between all species. We thought they were lost to time. We never considered they might have chosen to grow up on a single world, learning to nurture in new ways. Sarah watched as a young intern instinctively began humming to soothe a distressed star dancer infant, her simple earth lullaby creating ripples of comfort that spread through the entire nursery. Each human present was unconsciously contributing to a greater symphony, their combined presence creating a space of perfect safety and growth for young ones born in the harshest environments imaginable. The deep space drifter elder's thoughts resonated with certainty. The Galactic Council must be informed. This changes everything we thought we knew about humanity's place among the stars. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the heart of the quantum analysis chamber at the Galactic Science Institute, watching as streams of data flowed through the holographic display like rivers of light. The chamber, a gift from the star dancers, could visualize the fundamental patterns of the universe itself. Today, it displayed something unprecedented, a complete mapping of human DNA alongside stellar formation sequences. There Sarah pointed, her finger tracing a particular pattern in the genetic display. That sequence keeps appearing, and it's not just random repetition. It's structured, almost like a song written in the language of creation itself. Finished Dr. Akiko Yamamoto, her eyes reflecting the dancing lights. The renowned astrophysicists have been studying stellar nurseries for decades, but never had she imagined finding their patterns encoded in human genetics. The holographic display shifted, overlaying the human DNA sequence with the mathematical formula for stable star formation. The match was perfect, down to the quantum level. Every human carried within them a template of the very process that birthed the stars. A lumineth researcher, its form rippling with excited light patterns, interfaced directly with the chamber's controls. New data streams emerged, showing human brainwave patterns during various activities. The strongest resonance appeared during moments of caregiving, parents soothing children, doctors treating patients, even something as simple as one person comforting another. Your species evolved carrying the symphony of creation in your cells. The Luminoth communicated, its thoughts tinged with awe. But more than that, you actively expressed these patterns when nurturing others. You are living embodiments of the stellar nursery harmonies. Sarah's mind raced with implications. That's why the Starweaver infant responded to human presence. We naturally generate the same energetic patterns as their native stellar nurseries. The chamber's display shifted again, this time showing historical data from Earth's development. Overlaid with the new understanding of stellar harmonics, humanity's evolutionary path took on new meaning. The same patterns appeared in the development of human empathy, in the structure of human songs and lullabies, even in the way human settlements had spread across their home world. "Look at this," Dr. Yamamoto called out, directing their attention to a new data stream. "These patterns aren't just passive sequences in our DNA. They're active, responding to the beings around us. Our genetic code actually adjusts its expression to harmonize with other species." The deep space drifter elder, who had been observing silently, rippled with revelation. "This explains the adaptive nature of human caregiving. Your species doesn't simply provide universal care. You provide specialized care, automatically tuning yourselves to the needs of different species." Verification came from medical centers across Earth and its colonies. Humans working with young ones from different species showed subtle but measurable genetic responses, their bodies naturally adjusting to provide optimal caregiving frequencies for each species. A young research assistant burst into the chamber, clutching a data tablet. "Dr. Chen, we found something in the archaeological records. The same genetic sequences, they appear in other Earth species, but they're most pronounced in those who evolved alongside humans," Sarah finished, the pieces falling into place. Species that learned to trust humans, to cooperate with them. Earth wasn't just our cradle, it was our training ground. The quantum analysis chamber hummed with energy as it processed this new understanding. Humanity hadn't merely evolved on Earth, they had evolved in response to it, developing the ability to nurture and care for diverse forms of life. Their planet's rich biodiversity had taught them to become universal caregivers long before they reached for the stars. As the data streams converged into a single, harmonious pattern, Sarah realized they had uncovered more than just humanity's past. They had discovered their species' purpose, a role written in their very DNA, waiting to be fully expressed among the stars. "We need to share this with the Galactic Council," she said, her voice firm with conviction. "This isn't just about human potential anymore. This is about the future of interspecies cooperation across the galaxy." The underwater research facility off the coast of New Zealand hummed with activity as Dr. Sarah Chen descended in the observation pod. Through the transparent walls, she watched massive shapes glide through the deep blue waters, a pod of whales, their songs reverberating through the ocean in patterns that now held new meaning. Dr. Marina Podle, the lead marine biologist, adjusted the facility's sophisticated recording equipment. "Listen to this," she said, playing a sequence of whale songs captured over the past century. "We've always known their songs were complex, but with the new stellar harmonic matrices." The computer overlaid the whale songs with the stellar formation patterns found in human DNA. The match was undeniable. These ancient Earth creatures had been singing the psalms of the stars all along. But how? Sarah wondered aloud, watching as a young whale calf swam past, its own song a perfect mirror of stellar nursery frequencies. How did Earth's creatures learn these patterns? The answer came from an unexpected source. A deep space drifter researcher, specially contained in a quantum field to survive the ocean depths, rippled with excitement. "The oceans," it communicated. "Your world's oceans carry the original harmonics of star formation in their chemical composition and wave patterns." Marina nodded enthusiastically. "Of course. Life on Earth began in the oceans, where the fundamental rhythms of the cosmos were preserved in the very movement of water molecules. The whales didn't learn these songs. They evolved expressing them, just as humans did on land." New data streamed in from research teams worldwide, Archaeological sites revealed ancient human settlements had been built in patterns that unconsciously mimicked stellar harmonics. Cave paintings showed early humans living alongside predatory species, not just as hunters or prey, but as cooperative partners. Look at this. Marina highlighted a particular sequence in the whale song analysis. When whales sing to their calves, they produce the exact same nurturing frequencies we found in human brainwaves. We didn't just evolve alongside Earth's creatures, we learned from them. A holographic display showed the evolutionary timeline of human empathy and caregiving behaviors. The development of human nurturing instincts paralleled their increasing cooperation with other species, from the first wolves that became dogs to the ancient shepherds who learned to care for diverse herds. Sarah's tablet chimed with an urgent message from the Galactic Science Institute. The Star Dancers had discovered something in their ancient records, tales of a world where life had learned to sing the psalms of creation itself. They had dismissed it as legend, never imagining they would find that world and its children among the stars. Your oceans remember, the deep space drifter observed, its thoughts carrying the weight of revelation. They remember when the first stars formed, when the universe learned to create life. Your world preserved these memories, and through them, shaped your species to carry these songs to the stars. Through the observation window, they watched as the whale pod performed an intricate dance, their songs building into a complex harmony. Human researchers working nearby found themselves humming in unconscious resonance, their brain waves automatically synchronizing with the ancient patterns. We're not just carriers of these patterns, Sarah realized, watching the interaction. We're translators. Earth taught us how to bridge the gap between different forms of life, how to understand and nurture beings unlike ourselves. Marina pulled up one final piece of data. A comparison of infant distress calls across Earth's species compared to those of spacefaring races. The fundamental patterns were identical. Earth's diversity had prepared humanity for their role among the stars long before they knew other worlds existed. Our planet wasn't just a cradle for humanity, Sarah said softly, watching the whale calf now sleeping peacefully in its mother's slipstream. It was an incubator for universal caregivers, teaching us the songs of life itself through every creature that swam, flew, or walked beside us. The whales continued their ancient songs, their voices carrying the memories of stars into the deep, a reminder that Earth's children had always been destined for something greater than their own world. The Galactic Council's emergency chamber crackled with tension as Dr. Sarah Chen presented the latest data. The massive stellar disturbance, initially detected at the edges of known space, had grown beyond anyone's predictions. A wave of disrupted harmonics swept through the galaxy, destabilizing the delicate frequencies needed by various species to raise their young. The nursery stars are falling out of harmony, Sarah explained, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. The holographic display showed thousands of stellar nurseries turning chaotic, their natural rhythms distorted by the approaching wave. Multiple species are already reporting developmental difficulties among their young ones. A Starweaver elder's scales shifted through patterns of deep concern. Our primary nursery clusters will be affected within 3 stellar cycles. We cannot relocate our creches quickly enough. The Star Dancer breeding grounds are already showing signs of destabilization. Another representative added, their crystalline form vibrating with worry. Our young ones cannot survive in discordant harmonies. The deep space drifters rippled with unusual agitation. Our quantum fields cannot shield our offspring from this level of disruption. We require stable patterns for proper development. Sarah took a deep breath, her mind racing through possibilities. The discovery of humanity's unique connection to stellar harmonies had transformed their place in the galaxy. But now that gift would be tested as never before. Earth, she said firmly, drawing all attention. Earth's oceans still carry the original stellar harmonics. Our planet's natural resonance, combined with human caregiving frequencies, could provide a safe haven until the disturbance passes. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of translated voices and thought patterns. What Sarah proposed was unprecedented, bringing the young of multiple species to a single planet, trusting them to the care of humanity on a massive scale. Impossible, a Lumineth elder pulsed. The logistical challenges alone, with respect, Sarah interrupted, pulling up new data streams. We've already proven that human presence stabilizes young ones from every species affected. Our medical centers have successfully hosted multiple species simultaneously. We can scale up. Dr. Yamamoto, representing Earth's scientific community, stepped forward. We've been preparing for something like this since we discovered our role as stellar resonance anchors. Every major population center on Earth has facilities that can be converted to nursery centers. Our oceans alone could host thousands of Starweaver creches. The Galactic Council's primary administrator, a being of pure energy and ancient wisdom, studied the proposals carefully. The numbers are staggering. We're talking about millions of young ones from dozens of species, all requiring specialized care. Humans have evolved to provide exactly that kind of specialized care, Sarah countered. Our DNA actively adapts to harmonize with different species. Earth's biodiversity trained us for precisely this scenario. New alerts flashed across the chamber's displays. More nursery stars were falling into chaos, their harmonies disrupted by the advancing wave. Time was running out. A star dancer representative chimed in, their crystalline form resonating with hope. Our species remembers the legends of the harmonious ones, who could nurture any form of life. We see that gift now in humanity. I say we trust them. The chamber grew quiet as the council administrator considered. Finally, they spoke. Dr. Chen, if we approve this plan, how quickly can Earth begin receiving EBIQs? Sarah straightened, years of medical training and newfound purpose steadying her voice. We've already begun preparations. The first converted facilities can receive young ones within solar days. With the help of our spacefaring allies for transport, we can have the full evacuation network operational within 2 stellar cycles. Then we have no choice, the administrator declared. Let it be known that Earth is hereby designated as the emergency stellar nursery for all affected species. May the harmonies guide us all. As the chamber erupted in activity, Sarah sent out the alert she had prepared, knowing that humanity's greatest test was about to begin. Across Earth, medical centers, research facilities, and ordinary homes were about to become sanctuaries for the galaxy's most precious cargo. Sarah watched from the New Earth Medical Center's observation deck as the sunrise illuminated a world transformed. The morning light caught the crystalline domes of emergency nursery facilities that had sprouted across the landscape like modern fairy tales. In the distance, massive environmental spheres floated in the ocean, their surfaces rippling with the same patterns as the waves below. The latest numbers are in, Dr. Marcus Wong reported, his tablet displaying a constant stream of updates. We successfully received 50 million young ones from 37 different species. Every major city on Earth has converted available spaces into specialized care facilities. The statistics were staggering, but it was the smallest stories that touched Sarah's heart. A retired music teacher in Mumbai who discovered her lullabies could soothe distressed star dancer infants. A family in Kenya who transformed their greenhouse into a perfect environment for young Lumina. Children teaching their alien guests to play simple Earth games while learning songs of starlight and space. Look at this, Marcus said softly, pulling up a video feed from a suburban home in Australia. A young girl sat reading a story to a group of alien children, each one from a different species. As she read, her natural brainwave patterns created a harmonic field that had all the little ones entranced, their own energy patterns synchronizing with her rhythms. Similar scenes played out across the globe. Humans from every walk of life had answered the call to help. Retirement communities opened their doors to become creches for deep space drifter young, their residents' calm and nurturing presence providing perfect stability for the quantum-sensitive infants. Ocean research stations transformed into Starweaver nurseries, where marine biologists work alongside whale pods to maintain the ancient stellar harmonies. We're receiving another transport at the Singapore facility. Her communication device chimed. The massive starship descended through the atmosphere, its hold carrying precious cargo from a dozen worlds. Local families waited below, each one trained and ready to provide specialized care for their new charges. Sarah smiled as she remembered the initial concerns about finding enough volunteers. Those fears had proved groundless. Humanity had responded with overwhelming enthusiasm. People discovered abilities they never knew they had, their innate caregiving instincts awakening to meet the challenge. The neural harmonics are holding steady across all facilities, Marcus noted, checking the global monitoring system. Every human working with the young ones is naturally generating the correct frequencies. It's like our bodies just needed the opportunity to express these patterns. Through another window, Sarah watched a group of human children playing with their alien counterparts in a specially designed park. They had invented new games that worked for all species, finding creative ways to bridge physical and perceptual differences. More importantly, they showed no fear or hesitation. To them, this was simply an extension of humanity's basic nature. Message from the Galactic Council. Her device chimed again. The stellar disturbance is proceeding as predicted, but they found something unexpected. The harmonic patterns generated by Earth's combined human and oceanic resonance are actually helping to stabilize affected regions of space. Sarah's eyes widened as she processed the implications. Not only were they providing a safe haven, but Earth itself was becoming part of the solution. The planet's natural harmonies, amplified by millions of humans actively engaged in caregiving, created a stabilizing effect that rippled out through space. A soft chime drew her attention back to the nursery ward. A newly arrived group of infant Lumina drifted uncertainly in their containment field until a hospital volunteer approached. The elderly man began to hum an old folk song, and the young one's light patterns immediately steadied, drawing comfort from his simple melody. "We've updated the global training protocols," Marcus said, his voice filled with quiet pride. "Every new volunteer now starts with the basics, learning to listen not just with their ears, but with their hearts. Turns out that's something humans have always known how to do." Sarah nodded, watching as another transport ship descended from the dawn sky. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy not through technological advancement or military might, but through their fundamental capacity to care for others. In their greatest crisis, the stars had sent their children home to Earth, and humanity had risen to embrace them all. 1 year after the Great Evacuation began, Sarah stood in the Galactic Council's Grand Chamber, watching as the final data streams confirmed what they had all hoped for. The stellar disturbance was passing, and the nursery stars were returning to their natural harmonies. But the galaxy would never be quite the same. The numbers tell an extraordinary story. She began her presentation to the assembled representatives. Every single young one placed in human care has not just survived, but thrived. We've documented accelerated development across all species, enhanced emotional stability, and unprecedented levels of cross-species social bonding. The chamber's holographic displays showed scenes from around Earth. Young star weavers, their scales shimmering with health, practiced their first flight patterns over the Pacific Ocean, while human children cheered from the beaches below. Deep space drifter infants, once thought too delicate for planetary environments, played quantum tag in specially designed parks under the watchful eyes of human caregivers. But the most remarkable developments were ones we never anticipated. Sarah continued, bringing up new data streams. The young ones are carrying Earth's lessons back to their home worlds. They've learned more than just how to survive. They've learned how to connect across species boundaries. The Star Dancer representative chimed in, their crystalline form bright with excitement. Our younglings who returned from Earth have begun teaching our crutches new harmonies, psalms that blend our traditional stellar melodies with human lullabies. The effect on their development has been extraordinary. Similar reports came from every species, but Luminoth reported their young ones had developed new light patterns that mimic human emotional expressions. Young deep space drifters had learned to modify their quantum fields to be more accessible to other species, inspired by human adaptability. "We believe we've discovered why this happened," Dr. Yamamoto added, joining Sarah at the presentation. "Human caregiving doesn't just support life. It encourages growth, adaptation, and connection. We don't simply maintain harmonies, we help them evolve." The council's primary administrator leaned forward, their energy form pulsing with interest. "What are you proposing, Dr. Chen?" Sarah took a deep breath. Earth would like to establish permanent exchange programs with all spacefaring species, not just for emergencies, but as an ongoing cultural exchange. We propose creating a network of harmony centers across the galaxy, staffed by human caregivers working alongside local species. The chamber erupted in excited discussion. The idea was revolutionary. intentionally blending caregiving techniques across species lines, creating new harmonies that could strengthen all forms of life. There's more, Sarah continued once the chamber quieted. The human children who grew up helping care for alien young ones are showing remarkable developments. Their natural harmonic abilities are stronger than any we've recorded. They're the first generation to grow up knowing humanity's true role in the galaxy, and they're eager to explore it further. The display showed a kindergarten class in New Zealand, where human children worked naturally with alien young ones, their brainwave patterns creating perfect nurturing harmonies without any conscious effort. These children would grow up seeing the galaxy not as a frontier to conquer, but as a community to nurture. The ancient legends spoke of the harmonious ones returning. The deep space drifter elder communicated. We never imagined they would return not as one species, but as a gift spread across the galaxy through human connection. The Council's decision was unanimous. Earth would become the center of a new galactic initiative, focused not on politics or trade, but on nurturing the connections between all forms of life. Human caregivers would travel to the stars not as visitors or diplomats, but as teachers of harmony. As Sarah looked out over the chamber, she saw not just the end of a crisis, but the beginning of a new era. Humanity had found its true calling among the stars, not to reach them, but to help them grow together in harmony. Their children would inherit not just one world, but a galaxy of possibilities, united by the simple power of a lullaby sung beneath alien suns.